G'day, mate. What's your name?
My name's Julia.
What do you do, Julia?
I tell dick jokes for a living.
You do?
Imagine that. Imagine just, I'd love to put that in my fucking tax return.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Crowdworkcast. My name's Andrew Barnett. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we get into today's guest, very exciting announcement. My show, How Good, that I did at the Sydney and Brisbane Comedy Festivals. I'm doing an encore at both Sydney and Brisbane and Newcastle. So these are the dates. So Saturday, October 7, How Good, my show will be on at the Sit Down Comedy Club in Brisbane. So if you're in or around Brisbane and you'd like to come see that show, please come see it. I'm proud of this one. It's really a fun show to do, and I'd love to get as many people along to that as I can. Very excited to be back in Brisbane. Then on Sunday, October 22, I will be in Newcastle at the Newcastle Comedy Club. This is a beautiful little comedy club that some real go-getters from up in Newcastle have started. It's such a fun place to play, and I'm really, really excited to be bringing my solo show, How Good, to that, and that is Sunday, October 22. Now, the last date I'm announcing is this has been a little goal of mine. On the Friday, November 3rd, I will be at the Sydney Comedy Store doing How Good. That has been a goal of mine to have a solo show at the Sydney Comedy Store for quite a while now. So very excited to be finally ticking that off. That's going to be such a fun show. It is such a fun club to play. So if you're in or around Sydney, come to that. So yeah, Brisbane, Newcastle, Sydney. Please come out, say g'day, come see the show. I'm really proud of it, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. If you want to get tickets, go to my Instagram. There's a link in the bio for tickets. Also on my website, Andrew Barnett Comedy, or go to alist.com.au, and links to tickets all available there. Please, I'd love to see as many people out there as I possibly can. Now, that aside, the plugging aside, today's guest is Julia Wilson. Julia is a good mate of mine who is always fun to hang out with, always fun to work with. She's a really funny comedian. If you'd like to go see her do comedy, I can highly recommend it. You can find all her dates, everything she's up to, either at Julia of the Wilson on Instagram, or find her comedian page on Facebook, which is Julia Wilson. She's an absolute champion. This was such a fun chat. We even had a sneaky little beer while we were recording it, which is why I've had to record this intro several times. But that's enough from me. Right now, enjoy this. This is my chat with Julia Wilson. Too honest, really, isn't it?
It's quite niche too, but it is exactly like that's what I do.
I don't know. I think you're selling yourself short there. You tell vagina jokes as well.
Well, it's a complimentary, you have to give context to the dick jokes.
Yeah, exactly. You got to have something for everyone.
Yeah, so like there's assholes in there, there's mouths in there. Oh, geez, I've really started the podcast off well, haven't I?
Man, I saw yesterday, so I was walking past and I posted it on Instagram because I just took a photo of it and posted it on Instagram, and it just absolutely got not one reaction. But there was a ute, like for a company, and the company's name, it's like obviously graphics, but it's called Whole Shot Graphics, HOLE Shot Graphics.
Right.
And I was thinking, like, every whole shot is pretty graphic. You know what I mean?
I didn't get that. I saw that and I'm like, I'm not smart enough to understand that. Now I understand that.
Oh, maybe, Jesus, if my mind's dirtier than yours, I've got real problems.
Oh, no. It's not dirtier. It's cognition. You're smarter than I am. Man, I'm probably filthier.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what people are like, oh, man, what's that mean? Like,
yeah, I don't get it. And because I come from the generation of like, if I don't get it straight away, I don't get it. I'm like, oh, well, move on.
Not thinking about this.
Well, you
can't make me.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, I've done my time. I finished my psych degree. I'm never thinking again. I bluffed my way. I'm so dirty that ChatGPT is around. Because I had to fucking fake my way through essays about things I did not care about and hadn't researched. And
now
bluffed my way through.
That makes me worry though, for like, because by the time we're like aged, like in need of aged care.
Yeah, the people looking after us will have chat GPT'd their way through a doctorate to be...
Yeah.
Just no.
I do worry about that. That's
Well, you know what? I've had so many hits to the head playing football that the dementia will be so prolific and so profound that it won't bother me at all.
Yeah. Geez, I'd hate to be a nurse having to corral you if you decide, because people get even like in those wards, like people get very
I get feisty,
and also sometimes hornier.
Imagine me. Imagine
Oh,
me more
Jesus.
violent, more toey. There's a reason I never did ecstasy, because imagine me fucking a more extreme version of myself. I can barely deal with myself, let alone me at fucking amplified. Imagine it.
Oh man.
So I joke about it that I'm living the life right now. That means that when I have dementia and I'm in a nursing home, I get my own wing, because they're not going to let me anywhere near other people's families or grandkids, or like, don't worry about her. No, don't worry about her stories. And I'm like, but I fucked them all. Sucked every cock I could see. Like, imagine that, just ushering me away.
Don't know if you'll get your own wing or your own straps to your bed.
Yeah, actually,
hold
just
you
probably
down.
my own ball gag will be what it is, because it'll be this mouth that gets me in
It's
trouble.
like, did she murder people? Why is she on a trolley like Hannibal Lecter? No, but we're worried about what she will do at 94.
Well, I've only just finished up my my dementia job, where I do performing for dementia patients.
Oh, really?
And
How was that?
Oh, I loved it. It's just taxing. Like, it's exhausting. But there was a lady that I was looking after, and
Tell me you're not bothering to write new material every week, though. Surely you don't have to, Julia.
Well, it's amazing, because dementia is all the parts of your brain, the connecting parts start to shit themselves.
Yep.
So the memories are all still in there. It's the access to them that shits themselves. So sometimes they can access that memory again.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's gone for good. So sometimes you think, oh, fuck, this was 8 weeks ago. They won't remember this. And someone just goes, heard it. And you're like, fuck, you have never been heckled like you have been heckled by like a 95-year-old dementia patient. There was one lady, so I used to go in like a tuxedo and a bow tie and a really cool hat, so that I didn't look like a doctor, but I didn't look like some random off the street. I looked like
You look like you've got a purpose, but it's not medical.
Right? So and I look like I might have been in the theatre years ago, like seating people or that kind of stuff. So they know I'm meant to be there. Otherwise, it's just, why is this fuckhead talking to me?
Yep.
And I've got short hair, and if I've got a hat on, and I'm blokey, and I've got a big fucking tuxedo jacket, and I'm wearing men's
shoulder
clothes.
pads.
Yeah, and I essentially look like a fucking dude. I mean, I look like a dude most of the time, but if you can't see my boobs, I really look like a dude. So I'm like, okay, everyone, and this woman's just like, tell him to be quiet. And one of the care staff's like, no, that's a lady. That's not a lady. If that's a lady, where are her tits? And I just went, thanks, Janet.
First time I've been asked to get him out in a retirement home.
By an old lady who was
fantastic.
heckling me, and I was just like, you'll heckle till you get heckled till you cry. Like, it's hard.
Of all the places you thought you'd be heckled with,
Right?
show us your tits.
It was not a fucking very well-off, very rich suburbed nursing home, and in the high care dementia ward. I was like, fucking hell. But there was one old lady there. She was in her late 80s or early 90s, and she had the strength of 15 people.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she was unfortunately living a loop of a very awful growing up in a war-torn country childhood. Yeah. So she was trying to escape all the time. And I busted her one time. She's dragged a couch to the edge of the veranda, and she's picked up one edge and got it against the actual fence, and she's trying to climb over. And I'm like, fuck, I know 40-year-olds that can't do that. And this woman's in her 90s, and she's like powerlifting the...
I think we underestimate survival instincts. Like, in that, when your survival brain goes...
Absolutely. She's just like loop.
You can access
And so when
more.
I got there, they're like, can you go straight to see her? And because I'm such a unit and she's so tiny, she would grab onto me and she's like, I feel safe with you. And she'd just wind down a little bit. And you can't explain the soldiers aren't coming. You can't. Yeah. So I would just... it's just all diversion with that. Just let's talk about different things and make jokes about different things. Bam, bam, bam. And you would just rapid fire until you found something that calmed her, and then you'd go, okay, let's talk about this for a bit then. It's fucking hectic.
My grandfather had dementia, and that was the best sort of advice we got was you can't try and correct when they're getting confused and that.
No,
if
when
you
they're
correct,
down the rabbit hole, you're making it way worse. Yeah. Also, and I'm going to say this straight down the barrel of the camera, if there's somebody in your life that has dementia, the part of your brain that processes lyrics and music is the last part that dementia gets. So make playlists of music for when they were enjoying life and life was calm, and that's in the background, and they can't even explain why it makes them less anxious. It just does. But that made me go, I should make my playlist now because I don't have kids. There's gonna be no one around I'm like just picturing them in the nursing home playing Roland's Band at 11 and Slayer and Black Sabbath and that kind of stuff. It calms her. You must think you're gonna live for. Like, just imagine it.
Jeez, is this if this is her calm?
Yeah. I remember back in the day when I had, because I reckon I've got my temper mostly under control these days, but I remember back in the day when I didn't, a mate of mine going, do you think maybe it's the angry music you listen to? I'm like, no, the angry music keeps you cunts alive.
That's I think sometimes that's the big sort of mistake people who just don't understand why that music exists or why it's there. Like, it's like, do you think the sad songs are making you sad? No, I didn't hear a sad song and think, oh, geez, I hope I get dumped.
Yeah, I wasn't skipping down the street, heard the song, and then went, oh.
Yeah.
I found the horror because I was horror.
Yeah. You want to feel like someone else felt this way. So
Yes, I only just quit that job just because it got a bit too much. I realised because you have to COVID test every time you go in there. And I realised on the third week when I was hoping that I had COVID that I was like, it might be time to quit this. Enough's enough. Like, it just... and so, it's one of those things you move on. But I did it for a lot of years.
Yeah, you've had an interesting job journey. Like, you've had lots of different jobs.
You're an really nice one. Yeah, I was an accountant. I drove garbage trucks. I drove dangerous goods trucks. I just sold my share in the bookshop. What else did I do?
So, how many people driving dangerous goods trucks also own a bookshop, you reckon?
Not many.
Yeah.
I reckon if there was a Venn diagram of all of the things, it would just be me.
Yeah.
It'd have to be a decent
And
one.
right in this middle bit, that's what we call a Julia.
Doing these ones.
Yeah. Gee, she's feisty. That's because you've always it's.
I get bored easy. Stand-up's the only thing I've stuck at. I've been doing it 21 years, and I'll do it till I die, and I know that. But I just get bored. If I have to have a real job, I'm like, nope, next. And I've got to the stage now where I earn enough doing something that I love that I can just not bother. Like, I do stuff to fill my days now rather than, fuck, I've got to pay the bill for this and blah, blah, blah.
Well, the accountancy degree is probably what a lot of stand-ups need. If you're going to do this, hey, learn just a little bit of accountancy. Because
I was a bouncer and was doing bouncing at night and then doing like a regular security job during the day. And I kind of worked myself until I was very unwell. I got glandular fever and I kept working through it. And I ended up with like 18 months of post-viral chronic fatigue. I was fucked, proper fucked. And then my brain started to bounce back, but my body was like, can't do anything. So my doctor said, go and learn something, otherwise you're going to go insane. And my two options, because it was just on kind of closing time for all of the applications, my two options were IT or accounting. And I'm like, fuck, you take 6 months off IT and you have to start again. Like, it's changed completely. I was like, accounting's been the same since the monks did it in fucking 500 BC.
Exactly.
Whenever they started.
Now it's Excel instead of an abacus, but it's still a bunch of numbers in columns.
You still got to balance this side to that side. And there's this Rain Man part of my brain that I can look at a whole page of numbers and go, that's the one that doesn't fit. That's the one, that's where it's gone wrong. Just like I can look at a whole patch of clover and go, there's a 4-leaf clover right there. It just stands out to me. The wrong number stands out. And yes, 100% Rain Man-y in there somewhere. But it's been very... And I remember thinking to myself, no matter what I do, I'll end up working for myself, which I always have. And I'll need to know... I don't want to get ripped off by anyone. So if I've got an accounting background... and part of accounting, you learn a whole bunch of contract law and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty hard to rip me off. Pretty easy for me to rip other people off.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to rip you off. Pretty game to rip you off too, just quietly, with that matching the temper.
I'm looking after a mate's dog, this giant dumb German Shepherd at the moment, and I was walking him through Marrickville on Saturday. And I just look.
I just had a picture of you. Look, why do people think I'm gay? You're walking a giant dog.
Honestly, I'm wearing like probably these shorts, a black t-shirt, grey spiky, this massive
listening to Rollins
weapon of a dog, and I've just got the fucking what face about me. And this lady looks at me and she goes, "God, you must feel so safe walking that dog." And I went, "No, he's scared of everything." Also, what the fuck do I need a dog to feel safe for? And then I was like, fuck, I better go eat a steak. I better go lift some more weights. I mean, I'm lifting pretty heavy at the moment, but I better go lift some more weights because She thinks I need a dog. This thing is massive, and he's afraid of everything. He's afraid of... quite literally, I got my phone out the other day when I was walking him at night because I'm staying at their house and I don't know the area. And I got the torch on to see what I'm going to trip over, and he caught his own shadow and barked at his own shadow and jumped behind me shaking. And I'm like, I thought that was a saying. You are actually afraid of your own shadow, you fucking lunkhead. Such a dumb dog.
Yeah, that's not a great combination for a big, strong dog.
Anxiety and lack of... I mean, he'll come good. He's learning pretty quickly, but fucking it just made me laugh. There's someone's like, oh, you must be so safe. Fucking what? That's insane.
Also, where do you think I'm walking?
I hit peak inner west the other day. So I've grown up on the Northern Beaches, and I'm the only person that looks like me on the Northern Beaches.
You're one of the great NBWs.
Northern Beaches.
Wankers.
Nice. I thought you were going to say women, but sure. Who knows?
That too.
So no one looks like me on the Northern Beaches. Like people, and they also immediately assume that I'm gay, or that I'm like going to rob them, or like there's a lot of assumptions just straight away, just by the fact that I grew up there. And most of the people that are making these assumptions made sensible real estate decisions. Like it's like, fuck off. Anytime I cop the side, I'm like, fuck off. I'll keep bringing the real estate prices down. I grew here,
you invested here.
Yeah, and I will stay and bring down the prices for as long as I fucking can. But I'm looking after this dog in the inner west, and I hit peak inner west because I did a gig. I did a charity gig in Marrickville at the big community centre there, and it's a really serious charity. It's a podcast for incestual childhood abuse.
Jesus,
it's so full on where the victims tell their story and they get comedians and actors to read the story, so they remain anonymous. And the whole theory is that people don't talk about it, so victims don't come forward. But if you hear the story from a voice that you recognise and like, it's more palatable. I don't know what their download numbers are. It's very
intense,
hectic. Luke
man.
Hegge's done one of the narrations, and he fucking handled it with such... And, you know, Hegge's a prick, but he handled it with such grace and respect that I was like, fucking...
Hegge, that's who he actually
I know,
is, though.
it's going to say it's not Hegge on stage, actual Hegge.
It was actual Hegge.
He did such a beautiful job.
I did the intense,
so they've got up and they're like, and this is in front of Andrew Denton and Brian Brown and like there's a whole bunch of really famous people in the room, and they go through all these stats and like fucking abuse and suicide and drug addiction, blah, blah, blah. Now for a bit of change of pace, a bit of comedy. And I'm just like, fuck me.
How's this going to work?
And then I get up there and I go, can't help but feel I got thrown under the bus on this one. You're ready for some dick jokes? Like, and it's just, so I do that charity gig on the like Wednesday night. One of the ladies from the Greens party comes over, and she kind of looks like me, but vegan and with green hair. And she comes over and she goes, that was very funny, but no one believes you're not gay. And then just laughs and walks off. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And then the next day...
here's a list of dick pics that
beg to differ.
Yeah.
And so the next day I'm walking a different dog, another mate's dog, and I see her, and I'm wandering through Marrickville or Enmore or wherever I was, and I see her on the other side of the road, and she's waving like a maniac to me, and I was like, I've hit peak inner west. I couldn't look gayer. Honestly, I'm walking another big dog, and I've got a lady with green hair from the Greens in Marrickville waving to me, and I was just like, I've made it.
You are, yeah.
I've made it.
You are queen of the inner west. Well done.
I do my best.
Man,
did you ever get asked to do those kind of full serious charities?
Yeah, a few.
And you just kind of like... Hegge handled it beautifully because he did the second half. He did the half when they'd been talking about the fundraising and the money aspect. I'm like, fuck's sake, I get the fucking, you know, people killing themselves and kids being raped by brothers and stuff. Like, I get the full hectic stuff, and he gets the... And so he walks on stage and he just like walks on like he's like... Oh, I've only just got here. What are we talking about? It's such a good intro. And I'm like, fuck you, Hegge.
That's such a good, tension breaker.
Yeah, it was great.
Man, those I've done a few of those sort of gigs. I did years ago. I did a one for lymphoma in Wollongong. But we get there and it turns out the guy who's the lady who's organised it, her brother had died like 3 months before, and they played a video of him and him talking, and everyone's crying. And it's like, all right, now for comedy.
Who's ready for some yucks? And you're just like, why would you do this to me?
I was there with, so it was me, Stu, who runs Wollongong Comedy, and Jeremy Keast. And Keast just grabbed Stu and goes, you better fucking turn this around.
No pressure.
Stu was
But I'm going to fucking murder you if you don't.
Me
and Steve Philp did a fundraiser for a lady who had some kind of cancer but was not far off. and it was quite literally a fundraiser so her and her husband could do like the trip to Disneyland with the kids. It's like the last farewell trip. I don't know who roped me into it. I used to have a real big problem with not being able to go, no, that's a fucking terrible idea. I was like, yeah, these poor people, of course.
But that's the thing. They want help. You want to help.
Just take my money. That's like...
But yeah, sometimes...
And so the plan was that the MC was the guy... Oh, I'm Kimmy's dad. I can't remember his name. I think he was in Kath and Kim or Kingswood Country or something like that. Older bloke. Anyway, he was the MC, and the whole plan was he was going to MC it. This is what we're doing. We're raising money. We're doing blah, blah. Here's some comedy. And then they were going to have the lady of the hour was going to speak and her husband, and then it could get quite serious after that. But try and keep it light for the first half of the show. Yeah, no worries at all. So me and Philpy turn up, and it's at like the AJC, like the jockey club.
Yeah.
Massive big ballroom, everyone, and I'm just like, fucking hell, this is pretty big. And they've sold the place out. I'm like, fuck me, this is full on.
Ooh. Are they flying first class
and
to
then,
Disneyland? What's going on?
And then they're going to go on all the rides.
Yeah.
And then the MC just goes, oh, there's been a bit of change of plans.
Oh, I love this.
She wants to come and talk to the audience first to say thanks for coming. And I'm like, no, this is a real fucking bad idea. I don't want to do this. Oh, well, she's going to come in. They ride in on a Harley. He's in a tux. She's in her wedding dress. She gets up, starts crying from the get. Thank you so much for coming, like knowing I'm not going to be here to watch my boys grow up. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is going to be awful. And Philpy, I probably shouldn't have named him because he probably doesn't want to be named as saying this.
No, Stephen Philp, at Steve Philp on Instagram. Get around him.
He leans over and he goes, oh, fuck, just because she's dying doesn't mean we have to. I drop my fucking bundle. Because he is such a sniper like that. Like, he'll say stuff, but then you're the one who goes, like and there's a lady who's dying in her wedding dress on stage, and I'm the fuckhead laughing like a lunatic, and I'm like, fuck you, Philpy.
That's so funny.
I'll talk about this in a podcast in 15 years' time. Don't you worry about that, because there's no way she's still with us.
Jesus. Now you're the Philp of this podcast.
In 15 years' time, you can release this one.
But that's the that is because there's sometimes like comedy just doesn't fit the event the way they want, or the people like. I've done a few I do most years. I do a thing, and you did it for Camp Quality.
Yeah, but that's fun because it's a comedy night to raise money. It's not like a.
But so most years,
let's bring a really sick kid up and terrify everyone.
It wasn't that, but they try and do at that. They get a parent talk. Right, and
fuck, that's default you.
But that's the thing. Like I've had to perform that because they said we thought you could do the parent talk at the thing and then do your comedy. I'm like, oh, that's not going to work.
We're flipping that around. That's terrible fucking.
So I make like I always do the parent talk in the bit like in the break, like where we go into the break,
right?
To give a nice space. But I also. Anything I do where I make fun of the kids, that's in that first bit, and then the stuff
like, we
after
hate this prick, and then you get up and they're like, oh, we can't hate him.
No, but it's just like that thing where, like, after they know that, I can't do after the break. You know, remember that kid that I was talking about? Yeah,
well, he won't do his homework.
Let me tell you now. Well, yeah, he's healthy now, so here's some shit hanging it on it. But yeah, it's
like things like people always think that comedy and music go well together. Oh, we've got a bunch of bands, we'll get some comedians in between. Like that doesn't work, but it just doesn't work. Like it's not horrific. But don't have really fucking sad, gut-wrenching, and everyone's got a story. Like when it comes to illnesses, everyone's got someone.
Oh, yeah.
So the last thing you need, like, hey, like just...
Look, let's have a cry so then we can have a laugh.
Fucking hell.
Like, nah. Let's do it the other way around.
Yeah, let's drink a heap.
Yeah, and I don't know. Like I get what you mean. Like, because you always do want to act genuinely. You want to help.
Oh, absolutely.
But sometimes it's just.
And I usually do it for nothing.
Set up to work.
So I'm rocking up to have the worst gig I'm going to have that year for free.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, and if anyone ever groans at a joke, I'm like, fuck off, I'm doing this for nothing. Like, I should be getting paid pretty well. This is essentially a corporate. I should be getting paid pretty well for this.
Yes. Well, if anyone does want to come to the Camp Quality Comedy Night, that's coming up on August 30, I think.
That's awesome. Little plug right now.
Yeah, no, I just thought, why not? Yeah, this year I've got, because I think I had you and, who was the other? Oh, Jark Shark.
Yeah, me and
Barrett.
Jackie B.
Yeah, but this year I've got Sarah Gall and Tahir.
Oh, sweet.
So it's going to be a
smash it.
cracking night. Bungalow 8. I think it's August 30, but
I love that Tahir's doing more stand-up these days because he just did so much acting for so long.
I
That to
know.
see him on, I fucking love it.
He's so fun to work with too because he's a guy that where I look at him and the way he approaches his career and it's like, and he said it to me on this podcast. He goes, I think it was on the podcast, maybe just when we were traveling. He goes, the way I look at my career is, he goes, my first thought is, does that look like something fun that I want to do?
How cool
Like, he goes, I don't worry about, is this good for my career? Is it will I look uncool? Like, he's not worried about any of that image stuff. He's like, is this something?
He lives around the corner from me, which is hilarious because every now and then he walks around the beaches.
Don't reveal that. He's he's Southwest Sydney god.
He's a Northern Beaches kid, and it makes me laugh because he does like beach walks all the time. And if we ever see each other, which is quite regularly, I'll just be like, "Oi, Tahir!" At the top of my voice, he'd be like, "Jules!" And you just see people going, "Where did you two come from? And why do you know each other?"
Man, I tell you,
she's an inner west lesbian. He is clearly a Southwest Sydney ethnic person.
Leave the Spit Bridge up. This is why we need to leave the Spit Bridge up.
He is such a good dude, and he's really because there's not every comic I want to travel in the car with on the way to the gig, but he's heaps of fun on the way to the gig.
so good to just a good hang.
And he's a good driver.
Is he?
Yeah, which makes a difference because there are some comics that are like, I'll drive. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'll drive out of my way to pick you up. Don't you come to mine. I'll go to yours and then we'll go back towards the gig that's quite close to my house.
Don't you live 6 doors down?
Yep, don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fucking terrifying.
Man, it's funny how that becomes a big thing too, is like now part of the big not deciding factor, but part of the thing, how much I look forward to a gig is
who am I traveling with?
Who am I traveling with? Who is it I'm hanging out with?
Yeah, because I often book gigs for people that are like, oh, we want to run a night. So-and-so's given me your...
I think I said this to you the other day.
Yeah, so I'm just like...
me for something.
Yeah, who do you want to go with? And if you can't pick who do you want to go with, who do you definitely not want to go with? And it makes me laugh how often the same bloke's name comes up that they don't want to go with.
And apologies that's my name, but you know what?
If it's any consolation, you don't come up on either list. No one cares about you at all.
I think that hurts worse.
You're like, hang on.
I think I'd rather be coming up on the do not travel list.
I used to say that when I first started comedy, where people like, oh God, what if they heckle you? What if they don't like you? I'm like, at least I know who I am.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather at least you have an opinion. There'd be nothing worse than, oh, and then there was some chick in the middle. I don't even remember what she did. Like, you know I'm there. Like,
if you divide a room, at least part of the room like you.
Yeah. If I don't think I've ever been on a stage and people have been like, were you on stage tonight? No one's ever, you know I'm there. I take up the space I'm in. You know I've been on there.
The amount of times I've had, and especially emceeing early doors, when people go, you should do comedy.
Fuck.
You're funny too.
Fuck.
It's like,
I mean, I probably said it early days to an MC. Like, have you ever thought about doing early days?
You know,
but when it says to me, I just go.
I'd always just go, comedy, what they do.
You think
I couldn't do that. Like, it'd be at the Comedy Store. I've hosted the whole night. I remember because I remember when James Smith was working there a lot and I was working there a lot, and he'd always stand, and his favourite thing to do was people would come by and go, oh, you guys were great. He goes, sorry, can you actually, this is perfect, can you settle a bet for us? Andrew, who do you think was the best? Because Andrew was saying he thinks he was the best.
What a fucking hospital pass!
I know, it was because he just loved just throwing people under the bus.
Fucking hell!
But that's what people would say to us. Like,
you can tell he went to a private school and didn't get bashed at school. You can tell. That's one of those things you like, try that in the real world, see how it works out for you.
Oh man, he was always just shit stirring like that.
That's hilarious.
It was fun to.
Also, a little part of me's like, oh, I'll have to remember to do that sometime.
Yeah, I know. It was one of those ones. It's like, oh yes.
Why do you have a gridiron ball down
there? I've got a couple of them just kicking around the house. Why? I think that one just ended up there because I'd take them out and throw them around. And
oh, sweet.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just thought you would be like indoctrinating your kids into rugby league.
No, I like.
You give off those
sport.
vibes.
Give off those vibes. Yeah, that's. I've realised that sometimes. Like, this is the only industry in the world where I'm considered a manly man. Comedy. It's like the amount of times I've had.
Yeah, I get what you mean though. I'm considered a manly man in comedy.
Oh.
Like it's one of those things. It's an industry full of very delicate people.
Well, not even that. It was just like I think like I was on one of those Sydney Comedy Festival runs last year, and we're just at the van and everyone's brought their bags over, and I helped put one of the bags in the back, and then one of the male comics, Connor Burns. Do you know Connor?
I do.
Scottish dude, lovely dude. He just looks. He goes, "Oh, I'll let the real man pack
he's like that.
Pack the van," and I just laughed. I was like, what? And then by the end of that one, because they were that one, most of the other comics were young, and because I was helping them with that sort of stuff, they just started calling me Dad, and I was like, "Shut up!"
Yeah, I was gonna say,
shut up.
I was gonna say it was funny. It would have been funny 10 years ago, but now you're like, I could actually have given birth to you fuckers.
No,
I don't like it.
This isn't cool.
I don't like it at all.
Not cool. I've just started talking about on stage. I'm just trying to get around this bit. I finally feel like I'm the right age. Like at 42, like I look about 42, but I've always looked about 42.
Yeah, right. You've grown into your skin.
Yeah, grown into myself.
Yeah. I feel like I've grown into my temperament. I've been like a cranky old lady my whole life. Or old man. Who knows?
I don't think of you as cranky.
Really?
No,
That's
I think
lovely.
of you as a fun and energetic. Like it's a ball of energy. You've always got a good story about, oh man, this person.
And she knows what she thinks about things.
Yeah, but I've never seen you in that. Like in all the times we hang out, you're generally in a good mood and upbeat. And
that's
like
probably
it's
more
not
of a reflection on you than it is anyone else. But
I don't know.
I'm a not like. There's been a couple of times in a green room where I can't stand one of the other acts, and I'm just like, fuck off. Like there's no part of me feels the need to like, oh, let's make nice because blah blah blah. I just go, don't fucking talk to me, fuck off. And everyone's like, oh, that's awkward. I'm like, is it? I don't like them. They don't like me. Why do we pretend? To me, that's not awkward.
Yeah, it's just a shared. Like that's the thing though. Is like any workplace, you're gonna have people you do and don't get along with.
Yeah, I just like that this particular work. Like I've got mates that have got real jobs where there's HR and you can be complained to for bullying, and that's never happened in comedy ever.
No.
Where you just go, just fucking sit somewhere else, cunt. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at your fucking face. Fuck off. Imagine that. Imagine doing that in the corporate world. Don't sit there. I can see you. Fuck off. Take your free beer and fuck off out of here.
Yeah, Combank, that probably wouldn't work, would it?
I had a mate of mine that was having an absolute nightmare at their job. And I was just like, fuck, I hate it. And there's this fucking blah, blah. And it's just constant. I'm like, I'll go sort it out for you. They're like, we don't do that in the corporate world. I'm like, I don't think that should be happening in the corporate world. Let me go sort it out. I'll sort it out.
Oh, man.
No. I'm like, I'll just sit in the car park for a bit. It'll be fine.
It is the nice part about working for yourself is not having a HR.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like,
fuck, imagine me as HR.
Oh,
suck it up. Fucking hell.
All right, princess, what do you need? Like the boss is like, I've asked you not to call me that, Julia.
Used to make me laugh. So I've only just sold my share of the bookshop, but I had it for like 7 years, and I just loved that. We were our own bosses. Like there was a couple of us mates that owned it together, and I remember like some dude came in that was being racist, and I booted him, and really offensively, and then another dude.
You booted him offensively, or he was being offensively racist?
Oh, both. Really?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was really obnoxious to him.
Meet offense with offense.
Yeah, because he was like, there was a book on Islamic art and a book on Islamic architecture, and he comes over and he goes, that face. He's like, are you aware that you have an Islamic corner over there? I went, is that the two books? The one on art and the other one on architecture of a culture that is many thousands of years old?
Yeah. Do you have any idea the contribution to architecture?
Absolutely. And art.
And art, obviously.
And he goes, is that wise in this current political environment? And I just went, oh, fucking look, champion. And as soon as I hear myself champion or tiger someone, I know I'm about to lose my temper. I go pick up one of those books.
Also,
educate yourself or get the fuck out.
Let's play this out, right? In the current environment, I'm sure he thinks that there's an Islamist threat out there,
and they're going to come and
do we
us
think
to death?
that all of a sudden you having two books is making ISIS go fuck and we've got an inroad into the northern beaches?
Yeah, that bookshop on the northern beaches, that little lefty bookshop in the middle of a very, very right wing area. Let's fucking go in there.
But that's also like ISIS are probably looking like, look, guys, the way we recruit, right? First you get the architects.
And then you get the artists.
And then you get the artists.
And then you get the people who follow the artists and the architects.
It's like, what are you talking about?
This guy I was like, just pick up a book or get the fuck out. And he goes, I beg your pardon. And I got really bouncery. I just got tall and big. And I went, did I stutter? And he goes, I've never. I'm like, just fuck off, mate.
You've never. Well, you probably should have.
And he goes, well, I'm going to leave. And I went, good. Saves me for throwing you out.
He
goes, I won't be back. And I'm like, that's a fucking point, dickhead. Get out. And then he starts like mouthing off. And I'm like, you're still talking, cunt. Leave.
I love that. Like, I beg your pardon. Like, and then I'm going to leave. Yeah, that's exactly what I told you to do.
It's like a boyfriend breaking up with you and going, "You'll never find anyone like me." Good. That's the fucking goal, mate. I never want to find another one like you. Fuck.
Fuck, that's the plan, dickhead. Piss off.
As a matter of fact, if you could just fill out this like little metric on all the things I'm not looking for, just to define your personality entirely.
In fact, I had someone exactly like you, and I'm breaking up with him today. So, fuck off.
And then I had I had the racist dude. Oh, I had the guy who came in on just near Mother's Day, and you could tell Mum and Dad had separated. The kid had to buy a present for Mum, so he's come to a secondhand bookshop and he's picked up a book that's like $7. Like, he's clearly going all out. Because, you know, some people can do the divorce thing really well where they're like,
yep,
let's work together. The kid has respect for Mum and Dad and, you know, blah, blah, blah. This guy was fuck that. This guy was the Andrew Tate school of fuck women. And so he comes up with this book and chucks it on the counter. And he goes, "I'll have that." And I went, "Will you?" And he goes, "Yes." And I said, "Well, I didn't hear a please or a thank you on that." And he just looks at me and I went, "And for..."
You don't want a customer? Yeah, look, the margin on
$7.
$7.
And I went, "And for $7, I'm probably not going to put up with that." And he looks at me and I look at the kid and I give the kid a wink and the kid's just like, "This is the best day of my life.
Yeah.
Dad's getting schooled in front of me. This is the best day of my life." And he goes, "May I buy that book, please?" And I went, "Of course you can. That'll be $7, thanks." And then I went, "Thanks so much. Have a great day." And as they walked out, the kid turned back and I just went, and this kid was like, "Yeah!" Like having the best day ever.
Doesn't happen ever, but I reckon that bloke doesn't have any problem with women now. So
it just made me laugh because I was like, nah. You know, and if I worked for someone else, I would probably have to deal with that. But because I work for myself, I'm just like, I think I said at one point, I still own it. So unless I hear a please,
yeah, who cares?
you're probably not going to have that book.
But
I will get into an argument for $7. I'm that person.
Yeah, but also if you lose the argument, you lose $7. So well spent.
When I was a bouncer, one of my workmates who was like, he either owned the company or had been there forever. He went on to open a whole bunch of cafes and stuff. And so I was doing the books for his cafe one time, and I'm sitting, you know, behind a little partition of fucking mystery. And this chick comes in, and it was Northern Beaches, and he's like, he makes the best fucking coffee. And this guy is like, nuts and bolts, get it done, let's go, no fancy, doesn't price gouge, let's just get this, let's do it.
Yep.
This lady comes in, she goes, "Excuse me, can I please have a half calf decaf latte, but I'd like it with soy milk, and I don't want it too strong, and I also don't want it too hot." And he just goes, "No." She goes, "I beg your pardon." And he goes, "There's some coffee grounds on the floor here. I can probably scrape those together and put them in water, but I'm not making that coffee." And she goes, "I'd like to speak to your manager." And he goes, "Oh, manager's not here. Is the owner good enough?" And then she goes, "Yes, please." And he does this, and he's a fucking massive dude. Like, at the stage, probably 135, 140 kegs, big boy. He does this big dramatic turnaround and goes, "Ta-da! Still not making your fucking coffee." And I'm just like, I'm behind the little, you know, petition of secrecy, fucking crying with laughter. And she's like, "I will never be back." And he goes, "Good, tell all your friends."
Yeah.
And so she storms out.
What do you? You'll never be back.
And what a huge insult. So I never get to make that coffee ever.
Yeah. Wow.
So I stick my head around and I'm like, "Bubba, what are you doing?" And he goes, "She's going to tell all her coffee wanker friends. None of them are going to come here. And then people who aren't coffee wankers are going to hear that story and they are going to come here." It's like a twofer. I was like, that's awesome.
Wow, that's it's a specific marketing plan.
It is, offend people into not coming.
Yeah.
I just he thought it out. He's just like, nah.
But
Fuck.
I think that's the joy of, if you're putting all your sweat and like
you can choose your customers.
You can choose your customers. You can draw lines for yourself, which is it's the joy.
Because when you're emceeing, you kind of have to, like, it's about the venue that night. It's about everybody else in the room that night. So if someone's being a massive dick, you can't take it personally and really hone in on them.
Yeah.
Unless you want to drag them out by their hair.
It's about, well, when you're emceeing in the comedy room, it's about my feeling is your first allegiance is to the show. You've got to give the show the best chance you can. Sometimes that involves going someone and just the audience just don't particularly like you as much. Yeah. The rest of that night,
but you make the night work, and it's all about making
sometimes
the night work.
It does involve rolling the odd comedian under the bus when they go out and shit the bed and offend people, and you just sort of have to wash your hands of them and go, because otherwise, and this is the thing I'd say to new comics. If an MC does that, it's not about you. It's about the next 4 comedians that come on. Because
don't want to eat shit.
If they advocate for you, that trust is lost for the audience. All they want to do is trust the MC. When the MC says you're going to like this next person, they need to trust it.
Yeah, they go, you told me I'd last the last prick, and he was terrible. Like,
yeah. So you need to be able to do that.
I was at music school for 18 months before I started comedy. I know. As we started talking, I'm like, oh yeah, there's another thing. Oh, and another thing. Oh, plus, yeah.
So the ADD, when did you realise you had it?
I legit just got diagnosed like 2 weeks ago. I legit just got diagnosed. And you know what? It's a surprise to no one but me.
I was going to say, I diagnosed you within about 20 minutes of meeting you.
The psychiatrist, because you have to have a meeting with psychiatrists, like a couple of, and the guy goes, so what do you do for a job? And it's like through Zoom. And I go, oh, I'm a stand-up comedian. Also, I've got my little comedy agency. I'm a part owner of a bookshop. Oh, plus I've got this and I do blah, blah, and blah, blah. And he just goes, you're going to have to slow down. I'm like, bro, that's this year. Like, fucking get a pen. And he just looked at me and I went, oh, are we done? Like, is that the...
slow down in life or while I'm talking now?
Exactly. I'm like, well, it made me laugh my ass off because he got about halfway through and he's like, look, we have to finish this appointment, but it's pretty clear to me. And I honestly, I was telling a mate last night that if ADHD was like a percentile, and here's my nerdy accounting thing, I thought if I had it, I might be like 52, 53%, but I'm actually like... in the 90th percentile, like not, and ADHD isn't a percentile. This is my analogy because people will listen to this and go, "That's not how it works."
Yeah,
but yeah, it turns out I'm ADHD.
Feel free add the comments in the YouTube thing
because that's not how it works.
Generates the algorithm, conflict in the algorithm.
So yeah,
you know what? Julia said ADHD doesn't exist. So go her in the comments.
You know what makes me laugh though is that I only finished my fucking psych degree last year, the year before, and I had no idea I had ADHD.
What are you doing with that psych degree that you've missed your own ADHD?
Oh, mate, you know what makes me laugh is that I was like, we did like half of one lesson in one class in 1 week on ADHD and that sort of stuff. Like there's people that are just getting qualified have fuck all idea unless you go and specialise in it. They just don't know. So it just made me laugh because they gave me the drugs and they're like, so if you've got ADHD, they'll work, and if you don't have ADHD, they won't work. And so I took them and I was like, is this what people feel like? There's just one voice yelling at me inside my head. This is remarkable.
That sounds pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And also, you know, I don't want to murder everyone all the time. My very violent temper has calmed right down.
That's what I realised with, like, for me, like, I don't know what diagnoses I've got, but and I'm not curious to find out, to be honest. But I know
you're in a great relationship with great kids and a good job. Don't fuck it up.
No, but that's my thing is I've realised, like, we went on a family holiday, we were on a cruise.
That's my idea of hell, by the way. I saw those photos and I was like, Barno, what are you fucking doing, mate?
Mate, it actually was because like my wife's been hassling me, like. Not hassling me, but she's been
wanted to go for ages, and it's great for the kids. You put them in kids club, everyone will have a great time. And I'm like, it's my idea of hell.
But I sort of lean towards that. But my other instinct is I know that whenever we have anything on the books, I don't want to do it. And Nat's like, if I wasn't married to Nat, I wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm just the ultimate
can't be fucked.
Think to do anything guy. Like I'm like a bit inertia. Like, if I'm not doing anything, I'll keep not doing anything. If I'm doing lots of stuff, I'll keep doing lots of stuff.
Fair.
But every time I'm hesitant to do something and, you know, I go out of my comfort zone and do it, I'm glad I did it when she pushed me to do that. So this was like, okay.
I pissed and moaned the whole time, but I'm glad that I did it afterwards.
No. I don't even do that. I just sort of go, okay, well, you know, I've got to the point where I recognise that sometimes it's my social anxiety or whatever that's stopping me doing stuff.
Yeah, fair.
So just by... You know.
So did you have fun?
Yeah, I had a ball. It was.
Fuck. But I was on a cruise.
You know what I realised?
You'd either find me at the bar or at the gym. I'm lifting heavy or I'm drinking all the beer.
But that's what I did. Like I'd go. I realised that.
That's awesome.
I even just on there, like get up, we go have breakfast and whatever, and you know, Nat and the kids be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do go read a book or do," and I couldn't do that. If I'd go to the gym. And then I could do that all afternoon.
Yeah, right.
But I needed to get that.
Yeah, because I did say to the psychiatrist, he was like, you know, and have you ever tried mindfulness and yoga? And I laughed so fucking hard. I'm like, yoga? No, mate. No, I don't try yoga. You know why? Because I fucking hate it. I've tried it twice in my life, and I wanted to murder everyone. And if that instructor spoke to me again, I was going to break his neck. Like, I just give me... This is something I'm really missing at the moment. I'm missing full contact sports. I can't play gridiron anymore. I can't play all of the contact sports I've played over the years. My body, I'm 48. My body's just like, oi, fat cunt, stop it. Like, just your knees hurt, your back hurts. You've had so many concussions. Just give yourself a break. And I'm losing my fucking mind. And the only place that I get mental calm and clarity is on stage or on the football field. And I was like, now I've been diagnosed. I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
The 2 times where you're forced completely into the moment. There's no thinking
and also if you fuck it up, like if you're not paying attention, there are like you'll either die on stage, and my ego won't let that happen, or you'll get smashed in the play, or worse yet, you'll let the team down, and that's like, you know, I'm an offensive centre. My job is to stop anyone coming through to the quarterback. So
you're not that offensive.
I've cleaned it up. I think I've only dropped the C-bomb 4 times. Definitely. I should have asked that before. Mate, are we allowed to swear? Sorry.
Yeah, why not? It's the internet. You're allowed to do whatever you want.
I keep joking.
You should see some of the stuff that's on this thing. It is.
Have you ever looked, Julian?
Crazy.
I keep joking that if I ever write a biography, I'm going to call it No Fucks, No Cunts. Because every time I go to do radio or TV, I'm like, what can I say? And they're like, no fucks and no cunts. And I'm like, I'm personally targeted. Why would you say that to me? Also, thank you for the heads up.
Because we've seen your clips online.
I said to a mate of mine, oh, fuck. It's been like random strangers were saying to me, are you autistic or ADHD? And I'm like, what the fuck? And so, yeah, when random strangers, mates have mentioned it over the years, but I was like, nah, I'm just, you know, and it's funny because I've always described, I'm just wired differently. My brain just works differently. Literally what ADHD is. Yeah. But so when random strangers started going, yeah, I was like, fuck, all right then. So had a chat to the GP, went to the psychiatrist, and just like going through all the things, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, I wasn't expecting that question. Oh, right, proper ADHD, right, take that.
Oh. Well, at least now you've got your...
It's actually great. Like, now I know all the things that I was like, that's a weird little quirk. No, it's really fucking common for ADHD, and there's a fucking way around it. I'm like, beauty. That's so handy.
That's, yeah. And I think that's the as much as I joke about not wanting to find out any, like, you know, I also don't think I'd got anything I really need to worry about.
So what he said to me was, because I was like, I can't do yoga, I can't do any of those. Put me in a gym and I'll lift heavy until I puke. That's my favorite place. Like, just like my leg strength is enormous. My arms, like I'm really happy with all of that. So, and he goes, well, that's what, you know, if you can't get dopamine, you get noradrenaline, or pretty sure it was noradrenaline, which essentially is what your body releases when you're lifting really heavy. He goes, it makes perfect sense. And I was like, I don't like being predictable. That upsets me.
See, I'm not a mad, like, when I go to the gym,
You're a runner though. You
mostly
fucking
cardio.
Insane fucking weirdo.
I nothing better than just locking in. Like I was doing on the ship, I will say I was on the elliptical.
Oh, how weird is that?
Because
when the ship's doing these ones, and you're like, what
you know, like the size of me, I don't have a lot of
like
room for error on the side of the treadmill anyway. And once it's rocking, I'm like, man, I am half a shoe from just off the end of this thing. So I was like, you know what, elliptical will do me.
I've always said I run at and from. Like if one of my mates is in a fight on the other side of the pub, I will get there faster than anyone in light speed has ever gotten there. And if there's a Doberman chasing me, fucking good luck, Doberman. I'm beating you and I'm going up that tree. Like at and from, and that's it.
Or if you realise you didn't quite have the money for the taxi, boom,
gone.
Yeah. Oh man. So look, we are almost about at time.
Oh, sweet.
One thing I did want to ask you about though, because you did have the bookshop. What is your genre? Like, what sort of books? 'Cause I'm a terrible reader. Like, I've been reading. I'm about 2/3 of a way through an 1,100-page biography of Hitler that I started like 5 years ago. And you know what it's like to try and
ends?
Well, you know what it's like to try and read a book where the main character is not that likable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's all like,
that's a
I'm like
slog,
reading
man.
it going, damn, this guy's into art. What a loser.
Islamic art? No.
No.
Terrible callback. It's funny because it took me so long to do that fucking psych degree. Because I did the degree because my dad was crook and I moved home to look after him. And I didn't want those to be the cancer years. So I thought, I'll just get a cheeky little degree at the same time.
Cheeky little degree.
What? How fucking obnoxious am I? Like,
how ADHD are you?
As it turns out, 90th percentile.
Just do a cheeky degree.
I legit thought that
I'm doing 8 other things.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just going to be sitting in waiting rooms and in hospital bedside. I'll just fucking bang out a couple of essays. And I started with a philosophy degree because that's something that actually interests me. And then got asked if I would swap to psychology for future job youth intervention things that I'm working on down the track. So I swapped to psych. And then it turns out it's really fucking boring and quite, I'm not going to say hard, but a lot of work.
Yep.
I'm not a massive fan of focusing on the task at hand, which is a surprise to no one.
Probably once again another what we call a warning sign.
Giant fucking red flag, you loser.
That said, though, it's the kind of job the fact that it's hard to get through uni to do psychology, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I'm not angry at that, Julia.
What I found interesting was that my experience as a bouncer and as a comedian served me far more in that psych degree than anything that I had read or did read. Because it was just like life experience. I'm like, yeah, that.
Well,
that.
it's that those are two jobs where you're dealing with large groups of people regularly
and just reading them.
And you're
constantly
you're looking at social
making
dynamics
decisions very quickly. Otherwise, the payoff isn't good. But my point is that it took me 5 years to do my 3-year degree because Dad got quite crook in that time, and I'd have to either pull out of classes or it just got too hard and I'd bail on him. I'm like, Dad timed it fucking perfectly. Every time I got to the end of a 13-week term, I'd be 2 weeks from the end, and Dad would have a heart attack, or there'd be a new diagnosis of some cancer somewhere else, and be like, fuck's sake, old man, can you just do it like during the actual finals so
We've
I get
passed
like a full
HEX census date.
It's
I'm
exactly. You have
paying
no
for this.
idea how many times he got crook 2 days after census date. I'm like, you fucking crazy old.
Now I have to pay for this.
So it took me 5 years to. Side note: a friend of mine just passed away. I'm the executor of his will. He died owing 62 grand in HEX.
What?
And guess what? Your HEX debt dies with you. And when the solicitor told me that, I've never been more proud of that guy in my life. That he died
so good.
owing 62 grand on a filmmaker's degree. I'm like,
a filmmaker's degree.
Jesus.
Yes. I can't believe taxes paid for that one. Because you always think
they have to.
I know.
They have to pay for everything.
I actually think that whole HEX scheme is one of the beautiful
parts of the Australian culture?
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, my folks, your folks would have got their education for free. We have to eventually pay for ours. But so I was doing the psych degree. It took me 5 years to do a 3-year degree. But because I had to read so much academia, which is it's a fucking slog. And when you've got a brain that works like mine, where I'm like, oh, that bit's interesting, so I'll focus on that. Don't care. Oh, this is a bit like...
Yep.
But in actual fact, you're meant to be digesting it all. So I felt guilty for reading anything other than academic stuff. So it's only been since I finished my degree I've gone back to reading for fun. So I love...
romance novels. Mills and Boon.
Fucking nailed it. No, I love psychology and philosophy, and if I'm reading fiction, it's something like Bryce Courtney's Power of One, that kind of like where there's like good guy, bad guy, not crime stories. I can't be fucked with that, but triumphing over adversity and that sort of stuff. I had this
realization the other day because I'm not a true crime person. I know it's illegal to say that on a podcast.
Oh, I think it is. I'm fucking hell.
But you know what I realized?
I murder people as a part-time hobby, so I don't want to read about it. I know what I'm doing.
So I'm not into true crime I don't get into true crime documentaries, don't get into true crime podcasts. But one of my favorite songs is Hurricane by Bob Dylan.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's a true crime song.
Hard out.
Like that is genuinely, he lays out the plot of what would be an award-winning podcast. It's like, this is the crime in the first bit. This is the guy who was falsely accused.
He got set up.
Even at the end, when he's saying now all the crooks in their suits and their ties are free to drink martinis and watch the sunrise. Like, it's like, oh man, he's even doing the guilty.
Oh wow.
We need the call to action of this has been a myth.
It's a cracking song too, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Nice way to crowbar some pop culture in there. Some very recent pop culture.
Bob Dylan. And Hurricane. Denzel Washington played the
he most certainly
lead character in that movie.
This is the thing, since I've been medicated for my ADHD, I can watch movies. I've never been able to watch movies.
Oh.
I can sit down for an hour and a half and not touch my phone and watch a movie and follow a plot, whereas before I'm like, oh, look, I'll just bang out some invoices while I'm doing it. I'll just design that thing while I'm off there, and I'll just look what.
Mate, if that's a sign of not being able to watch a movie without touching your phone, is a sign of ADHD. Where there's a lot of people.
World. Here's one thing that I didn't know was an ADHD thing, and I thought was just me. I can watch an entire series of TV and love it, and then a year later not remember anything about it. So with the exception of things like Sixth Sense or Usual Suspect that has a very specific ending, the big pullback and reveal, where once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. the amount of things that like my favorite TV shows, I leave it a couple of years, I go back and I'm like, who's this guy? I don't remember this. It's fucking, it's wonderful. It's like
I do that too.
It's like a little Easter egg. You've got ADHD. It's like a little Easter egg for myself where I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to go back and like, you know, things like Fringe and Scrubs and, you know, comedies and the like X-Files that have got like really interesting sort of storylines where I'm like, I don't remember anything about this. I know I've seen it, but I've got no memory of how it ends or who this person is. It's fucking great.
I've got to go back and watch
Yes,
the
it
X-Files
holds
now.
up. It's good.
That's well. Now we know that there's. Did you see that US dude who's testified?
I have just seen people talking about it. So
Yeah.
what? There are aliens? I mean,
there was
obviously there is,
a US Air Force. I don't know what his rank is. Testified before a congressional committee that he believes that the government. He's seen evidence the government have recovered spacecraft and biologicals.
ooh.
But my thought would be is if there were aliens and the US government knew that, Donald Trump would have tweeted it like 3 days into being president. Do you know what I mean? Like, the guy's just been charged with bragging about a war plant. Like, hey, look at this war plant. You'd think that it wouldn't be cooler to go, you want to see a photo of a spaceship?
I got into some pretty hectic situations when I was a bodyguard. I got into some really hectic situations when I was a bouncer. Like, I should have been dead a couple of times over now, and lucky I can fight, and lucky I can talk my way out of. Lucky I can realize when I'm not going to win the fight, and I can talk my way out of that. But I went to the Pentagon. We know that Simon Kennedy's mum passed away in the plane that went into the Pentagon.
Yep.
So in 2019, he was at what's the name of where they keep all of the people that they're trying for treason? What's the name of it?
Guantanamo Bay.
That's it. They were starting the trials at Guantanamo Bay, and he said, "We won't make it to the memorial. Would you like to go in our place because you're going to be there at the same time?" I was like, "I'd love to. I'm going to go and represent the family and be real respectful." And we go along, myself and a couple of mates, and Donald Trump is the president, and he comes out and starts talking, and he was 25 feet away from me, and I'm just like. The last thing my dad said to me as I left was, "Don't you fucking get arrested in America. I can't get you bail money there." Because that was always the stock standard, like, if you need bail money, let me know, kiddo. Like, we had a running joke, and he's like, "Do not get arrested. I can't get you." But he was serious because he knows that I've got a mouth on me, and I can't deal with, like, I was going to the South, and I can't deal with racism, and I can't deal with homophobia, and he's just like, he knows I'm going to punch on somewhere. But now I've got Donald Trump right there, and I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at the snipers, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, I reckon I can get to him before they realise that the massive Australian units fucking made a break for it. And then probably not. Who am I kidding? That's their job. But also,
they do not mess about.
Do they really want to protect that guy? We don't know.
Nah.
And so I'm standing there and I'm doing the maths in my head, and my mate who's with me goes, and I go, "What?" And I look at her, and I've got a fucking Secret Service dude standing right there, and I went, "Oh, fucking really? Out of all of this, I'm the one you're going to stand next to?"
Yes,
and
the one doing the calculations.
Yeah, and he stood like, I mean, I think if you looked at me, I would look like Julia Roberts with the X plus MC squared equals the, like, I was like, I was just like, I reckon I can take one for the team. I can do this. And the Secret Service dude stayed with me the whole fucking time. And I was like, and even when he started wanking on about how he didn't call himself a first responder, but he saw the plane, like he was in his apartment in Madison Avenue, and he looked down, he could see that the plane had gone into the first tower, and he jumped in his car and he took his staff with him, and he went down there, and he wouldn't call himself a first responder, but he did help people out of the second building, and people were actively going, fucking bullshit. I looked at the Secret Service going like, really, that's what you're fucking protecting? And this guy was just like, worst day of fucking, I can't believe this.
I don't get to pick him.
Yeah, and like, you know, the term before Obama had been there, and here I am with Trump like, I wouldn't call myself a first responder. No one would, mate. No one, living or dead, would call you that.
Yeah, funny that.
And it's interesting because, like,
see, though, you and him found common ground.
we both.
Yeah, neither of you would call him a first responder. Well done. See, so you got to look for common ground with people you don't agree with, Julia.
What I found common ground is Americans hate the word cunt. And
yeah, they do.
And so I'm like, it's not about you. It's about Simon. It's his mum. You're representing. You're showing respect. Fucking, I'm gonna have a stroke. My eyes twitching. I'm like, fuck. Everything in me wants to just go, fucking shut up, cunt. I'm like, no, keep it together. And then there was a family of one of their family members had passed away, as Simon's mum had, and the mum just goes, fuck this. I'm out. This is bullshit. And it was full like, this is some kind of bullshit. Like, it was really. I was like. It was so beautiful. She storms off, and I'm like, if she doesn't have to stay, I don't have to stay. So I went down the back, and it's in like the Peace Gardens, I think it's called. But you're essentially encaptured here. You're not going anywhere. And I went right down the back with her, and I was like, look, I know you guys don't use this word very often, but that bloke's a fucking cunt, and I couldn't listen to another word. And she's just like, I will allow that in this instance. I was like, yes! I made a lovely old black lady say it was okay to say the word cunt. I'm like, I'm retiring. I'm out.
Oh, man. Well, I don't think this podcast is going to get any better than that story. So,
or released in America.
Before we go, though, let people know where they can find you, see what you're up to, all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, fuck. Instagram, Facebook, all those kind of places. And I am... when do you release this?
Probably Monday.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'm all over the shop. I'm actually heading up to Brizzy, Northern Rivers, over to Perth, another run at the Comedy Store. I'm all over the shop. I'm just...
And you can find those details on your Instagram, though, which is...
Julia of the Wilson.
Julia of the Wilson.
Yeah, and then Facebook's just Julia Wilson, because I'm not smart enough to come up with a good name for that one.
Sweet. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having us, Barno. Thanks
worries.
for the beer. I appreciate that. I will take the rest of them with me, though.
Yeah, good. I don't need them, I'll be honest.